Heritage for the Future is probably never coming back. You will probably never see it. You will probably never get to play it on console. And you'll probably only be able to play it when that PC machine console-ish thing comes out like next year. And then you could finally get the sweet joys of playing it. But you want to know the reason why? Do you? Well, if you clicked on this video, you obviously do. Now, the reason actually comes from our favorite company, Bandai Namco. Now, if you don't know about me and Bandai Namco, I kind of fucking hate them. I kind of fucking hate them because of the stronghold they have on anime and video games in general. But Bandai Namco is known for buying anime publishing IPs and video game IPs and just being like, ha, yeah, you're never getting your old games on console ever. They did it to Naruto. The series right before Storm, I forget what that series was called, but they canceled that shit. They got that shit the fuck out of there. And they did it to JoJo twice, technically 3 times, technically. But we're only going to talk about the first, Heritage for the Future. Now, Heritage for the Future was made by Capcom. That is confirmed. That is true. Capcom made that game completely. It's their game. But Shonen Jump has a deal with Bandai Namco that Bandai Namco essentially gets almost all of their anime video game publishing rights. So Bandai Namco holds Heritage for the Future because it has its publishing rights, and in order for it to ever get a republish, it would have to go through Bandai Namco. Now, this is awful for multiple reasons. One being that we can almost safely say it's almost never happening. We're definitely never getting that game on console because look at literally Bleach, for example. Before their last actual console game, they didn't have shit and no one cared. I mean, Bleach fans cared and people cared. Bandai Namco did not give a fuck. They didn't. They didn't even care enough to like just copy and paste and give them another arena fighter like they do with everyone else. They just did not care. And that's what I could see. And they didn't even put any of the old Bleach games on console either. That's what I can see happening. Because Bandai is so rich. They have so much money that anime games to them is just like a pastime. It's just a way to launder just a little bit more money. And the sad part is, some of you dumbass niggas, yes, I'm talking to you, are going to keep buying them. I personally have not bought a Bandai Namco game in fucking years. It's been years. I think the last one I bought with my actual money was, I want to say, the Storm 1234 pack, which cost me $20 on sale. Yeah, I got 4 games for $20. That was the last time I bought anything from Bandai Namco. Even with Sparking Zero, I game shared that shit. You know why? Because Bandai Namco with anime games, they have a formula now, essentially. They see that now they can't make no real money off of almost any anime game, so they're holding on to the ones that do make money. Xenoverse, Shinobi Striker. They're going to keep those alive. They're going to keep them live service. They're going to keep feeding them little updates just to keep their fans holding on to the copium that they'll get another anime game. And then once that finally runs out, they may publish a sequel, but if that sequel does not do good, if Xenoverse 3 comes out and it doesn't do good, I promise you we'll be dead within 2 years. They will try to kill it within 2 years. Either the servers are going to go bad, they aren't going to update it, wherever the case is, they're going to try to kill it. And you may ask me, why am I mentioning Dragon Ball and Naruto in this? Because those two franchises have 2 of the biggest anime games and best-selling anime games ever. Tenkai Budoichi 3 and Storm 4 both sold around, now I may be wrong, but I think it was around like 10 million or something like that. Great numbers, right? I'm simply saying that because if that's the top and they aren't even getting treated right, JoJo's is like a mid-tier worriment on Bandai's anime level. They don't care about JoJo's for real. The last time they did anything with JoJo's was for their 35th anniversary in 2021. That's when they announced All-Star Battle R. Mind you, 4 years ago they announced the game All-Star Battle R, and 4 years later that shit is dead. 4 years later, or when that shit came out, they didn't even update the netcode, making it still awful to get online. And they did that with both games, Eyes of Heaven and All-Star Battle R, because I'm pretty sure you could play online with Eyes of Heaven. Pretty awful to get online. And even though in that case, like, they don't make the games. Like, Bandai Namco, they're a publishing company. They have the publishing rights. They don't make the games. But they decide whether they want to keep that game alive. They decide whether, oh yeah, we should give that game a DLC. They killed All-Star Battle R and Eyes of Heaven quick. And that's why I have no faith that we'll never get a Heritage for the Future remake, republish on PS5, PS4, PS fucking P. We're not getting that shit. And it's really unfortunate because Heritage for the Future, if you've never played it, I played it on my computer. It's a really fun game. It's one of the legacy games within JoJo community and is honestly known as the best game of all time, best JoJo game of all time. And for it to never get a modern remake, it sucks. It feels weird, you know what I mean? Like, you really have to go on Roblox to get the best JoJo game right now, and that's crazy. That's crazy, especially when you think about the fact that Bandai Namco has all that shit just sitting there. If you have all that shit, why won't you just re-release it? What is the problem? What's the holdup? Why can't you just keep these games live for more than a year? Like, both of those are real questions. Why? Y'all have so many resources. But that's why. Because they have so many resources. Why do they need to keep Heritage for the Future up? Why would they give a fuck about All-Star Battle R? We already gave y'all a remastered after 10 years. Be grateful. That's what they're thinking. Like, legitimately. I don't know. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. Underrated anime characters. A beautiful category of anime characters, something that we all love, something that we all need, and that's why today I'm talking about underrated characters within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Because within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, there are many characters, and with those many characters, there are many underrated characters. Now, to start off, I want to talk about Rai Mimizuku, who is the plant appraiser in part 8, which is one of my favorite parts in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Now, after I read part 8, I soon realized how cold this motherfucker was. I mean, he shows up in such a fashion that makes no sense and has no importance to the story, but it's so cool because he aura farms that shit like fuck. This man shows up driving a bus. Why is he the bus driver when he's a plant appraiser who lives in the mountains? I don't know. Now, I'm probably lying. There probably was a real reason, but I really cannot remember it. I just remember him showing up, or them looking forward and them seeing him as the bus driver. It being like, that just doesn't look like a bus driver. He said something to them to get their attention. And on top of that, how many characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure do you know have a house literally on the mountains? Not even on the mountains. A house technically in a ski. I forget what that shit's called, but he literally just lives above ground. He was living above ground because of the rock animals, yes, and other calamities that could possibly get to him. But it was crazy. That's literally one of my favorite bits in JoJo's, because it shows you the absurdity of how someone who was living there would have to live. Same way with what's that one? The tower stand in part 4, and how that guy just lives up there. Like, he has a whole system up there to make it work. This man was literally this close to grabbing Wonder of You with his bare hands. I want y'all to know that this close. He got farther than people would have ever suspected. He got farther than Kay got. She got to the door, unfortunately. Yeah, this video is just littered with part 8 spoilers. I'm sorry. I gave you the warning, though. Don't come at me. And before we move off of him, I literally have to mention the fact that before he Unfortunately, Part 8 spoilers passed. He taught Josuke spin. And though Josuke was very confused because he's like, nigga, you're dying, you're 2 seconds away from death, he was very appreciative because that spin would help him beat Wonder of You and help him discover how to make his bubbles really, really fucking strong. Like, even stronger. Up next, we got Anasui. Now, for some people, they may say, oh, he's not underrated. If anything, he's overrated. There are some people who don't like him. There are some people who think he is underrated. And there are some people who just don't care for him. But I feel like throughout the general JoJo community, he's underrated. I mean, when you think about his character arc, it was just so peak. He had one mission, and that was his goal. And at the end, he did obtain his goal. Bro mysteriously shows up when he's introduced by Emporio as weather reporting Anasui. Then he walks out the door, walks away. We don't see him for a few episodes. He comes back, tells Emporio, yo, I'ma help you, no charge. Emporio's like, why? And he's just like, yeah, that Jolene girl, I want her now. And that's his whole arc for like part of the story. Part of Stone Ocean. He's just following Jolene, saving Jolene, doing everything for Jolene. Even though I could expand on that, and because actually his arc is pretty beautiful when we're not talking about Jolene. Like, literally, we see him go from someone who did not care about any of his companions within that prison to someone who quite literally risk body and soul for everybody there to save them and let them stand for just a little bit longer. When he took his stand diver down and spread it within all of them, he literally added a resilience. He's the reason Jotaro didn't die when he first got his neck slashed. He's the reason. And I'm pretty sure Diver Down even stood just a little bit longer after he died. Like, genuinely, in that Made in Heaven scene, when Made in Heaven is first activated and all of them are still alive, that was MVP clutch moments for him. He was like Ray Allen hitting a 3 in the corner. If he doesn't activate Diver Down, he doesn't even give Jolene the proper time to devise her plan, throw the knife at Poochie, and get Emporio onto the dolphin. If he doesn't use Diver Down like that, they all basically die there. Earlier. I forgot. They died there earlier. I don't they died there just a little earlier. Plus, how many characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures can you say actually reached their dream? Their full goal. Their goal was realized. Cause yes, in his universe that didn't happen. But in the other universe, which really is just the same universe, but the events of part 6 never happened, he ends up meeting Jolene and they end up, or Irene, and they end up about to get married. He got what he wanted. Shit. Now, to end it off, I want to talk about someone people really never talk about. Like, he has one viral meme in the JoJo community, and that's it. I'm talking about Yu AA, or aka Highway Star from part 4. Him, his stand, and his whole little character arc for the little episodes we saw him was pretty peak. You have to admit, it was pretty peak. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yuya did his job in part 4, which was making his stand look absolutely disgusting. Cause it did. And honestly, it was. It's a stand that will catch up to you eventually. Like, it will. Once it starts running at you, you're almost cooked because it doesn't stop running. And it's on top of the fact that you can go as fast as you want. It will keep accelerating. He has a light version of Made in Heaven, but it isn't that fast. It isn't accelerating like that. It isn't an infinite accelerator. But it will catch you. And once it catches you, it's draining all of your nutrients. All of your blood. All you're going to be is probably just a skeleton. Not even. It'll probably drain the calcium out of your bones along with it. Do you hear me? Like, do you get what I'm saying? The calcium. And on top of that, Highway Star versus Crazy Diamond is one of my favorite fights within part 4 because of the way that it's not even a fight. It's literally just a chase scene. The Highway Star is trying its hardest to chase Josuke down, and Josuke is using every elaborate trick, idea, scheme. This is where we see Joseph's son at the helm, going off, going crazy. I loved it so much. And after he's caught, he even eventually helps them. He goes from fine. Since you're blackmailing me, I'm gonna help you, you know. But I'm not gonna fight. To, you know what? I'll risk my fucking life for you, Josuke. I fuck with you. I fuck with you heavy. And you know what? I have to give him props for that. I have to. Like, for someone to do that, and then for the community not even to even talk about him like that, that feels wrong. We need more Yuya appreciation today. Underrated side character, elite stan, good enemy to good guy. He has all the tropes of an underrated character. Come on. We have to give him that. Let's all give him that collectively. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. How the fuck did Jjba get those damn recruits for Dio's army? That's the question today. How? What did she do? What calls did she make? What journeys did she conjure to come to the decision that yeah, I'm gonna pick these people to be a part of this army. I'm gonna pick these people to go against the greatest threat to Lord Dio, your lord. These are the greatest people you could get. Now, the reason I'm making this video, because I sat here and thought to myself for a second. I was just like, man, Jjba, what are you doing? When it comes to recruiting, what are you doing? Now, some of these people, they came close. They even had a chance. But I do have to talk about the baby. I'm sorry, I do. Recruiting a baby, it begs me to question what position did you put yourself into to get in touch with the baby? Were you in touch with the baby's mother when she was pregnant? Does the baby's mother have a stand? These are questions I need answers to, because I need to know how at such a young age you were able to not only reach the baby but get the baby alone and talk to the baby and be like, yeah, you're working for Lord Dio, and the baby being like, bet. Manish boy, it's like, again, super genius. He's a super genius, that's confirmed. We know he has super level intelligence. He's very smart. But my whole thing still is like, how? You know, how did even to the question of how did the baby learn of Dio? You know, because, you know, all of Dio's followers were very loyal to him. So how did you make a baby very loyal to you in such a short amount of time? Like, I understand Dio takes only a second to, you know, look at him. But when did Dio look at him? When did Dio even leave his fucking cave? These are the questions I need answers to, and I need them today, damn it. Like Jjba had years to plan this out. You know, I had to think about it. You have to think about it right real quick. Dio had been unsealed for years. Jjba, he had met Jjba years too. He had years. They had years to plan this out, right? Did they say that, oh, I just want a baby with a stand, and then randomly, just 6 months before the events of Stars Crusader, they just recruit this nigga and they're like, yeah, you? Or did they catch a pregnant woman and say, hey, I need your baby to take this stand arrow and see if he's a stand user, and she just agreed? I'm so confused. I'm lost. And I don't know if I've ever talked about it on this channel, because I feel like I've made a video like this on this channel, but I'm still lost. If I have, I'm still lost. How? And man, this boy isn't even the only one. Anubis. You know, okay. A legend. Anubis is a legend, right? But what compelled Dio to just be like, okay, we're going to go after Anubis, and we're going to try this sword? Or not even Dio, Jjba to be like, we're going to try this sword, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it works, like I'm confused. I'm befuddled. I'm losing my mind, you know what I mean? I'm losing it. Like, some of them is just makes sense. It's strong, you know. Steely Dan, cool. You know, her own son, cool. Hall Horse, somewhat cool, because he wasn't even loyal for real. As a matter of fact, I get it, because High Horse, he literally has a gun stand, and if he catches you, you're cooked. You're cooked. There's no chance. There's none at all. And that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? If you're caught, it's over. And that's the bad thing. Because you can catch people like High Horse. Why are you going after a baby? And you know what? I have to give Manish Boy his props. Because of his appearance, no one even believed that he had a stand. It's a baby. Shit. Even fucking strength. Getting strength on your team is like, it's ridiculous. And you know, you may say, oh, but this is different. He's a super intelligent orangutan. Of course, like, he would join. But like, why would you say of course? There's questions to be asked. Like, what was the orangutan? As a matter of fact, we know the orangutan, if I remember correctly, it was captured by the crew and he was on the bus. I mean, he was on the boat. But even before that, like, has the orangutan lived its whole life there? It probably did, because again, it controls the ship. But I'm still saying, like, as a matter of fact, we don't even know anything about what he was doing before he got on the ship. We just know he was on the ship, and that's his ship, and that's his stand. What type of shit is that? So did she just meet the ship one day randomly at sea? Was the ship docked? Was forever in the land picking fruit? Was he getting food and supplies on his ship when she met him? Answer me. I'm sorry. I get worked up because I'm just like, how did this happen? What caused this? Or even better, even fucking better, even better. What is that nigga's name? Pet Shop. Y'all niggas telepathically connecting with eagles now. Did Dio hand her a pack of 12 flesh buds and said, here, hand them out like candy, give them to the first stand user you see? I understand they're rare, but fuck. Now, admittedly, that was a great pick, fantastic pick, I can't knock you, but it's still a fucking eagle. It's an eagle. I don't know why, but I just think it's ridiculous that Inya, this old hag, somehow, some way, recruited a baby, a sword, an eagle, and an orangutan. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just fucking me. I don't know. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps in the next time. And until next time, peace. Oh, wait. Before you go. Also, I have a Discord. If you want to join the Discord, you can. In my post, I have the link. If you want the link, you can comment it down below or whatever. I know a lot of you don't watch to the end, so if you did, you're a real one. And until next time, peace. Within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, there are a lot of things Hirohiko Araki tries to do and succeeds at doing. One of those things being making multiple species that are very interesting and in some ways or another intricate within the way they're made. And today I want to recount every species within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, how it was made, the origins of it, and everything we know about it. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, I do want to say this. I have a Discord now. You go on my page. You can look at my posts. I posted the link. I'll probably put the link in my bio. You know, if you're watching this on mobile or whatever, or a laptop, you can go to the Discord if you want to. We're talking in there. It's a lot of discussions. It's a lot of different things that we talk about. It's fun. And I got this membership tab on my YouTube where if you want, you can get the videos that I make. Like, I'm making this video a lot earlier than it's going to come out, but you can get the videos that I make like when I make them. I'm making this video, I think, what is today? Today is Saturday, November 22nd. This video will probably come out maybe the 26th, 25th. So you'll have a leg up on everybody, and you can tell all your friends, that the one friend who may recognize my face, that you're subscribed to me for $3 or not. I don't care. Either way, let's get into the video. Now, first species I want to talk about is the pillarmen. Now, the thing with the pillarmen is they are a species that has been around a long time. When you look at their history, it's actually kind of ridiculous. Pillarmen's whole deal was they came from a line of humanoids that were extremely strong, extremely smart, and had extreme capabilities, and they once ruled the earth. The only drawback was they really couldn't go out in the sun, but they were living fantastic. They ruled. No one rivaled them. And this was a long time ago. There were extraordinary animals back then, and they could not touch them. But Cars did not settle for that. Cars was the one who wiped most of them out and made them mostly extinct. But their powers naturally are so great, it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, they consumed humans who worshiped them as gods. They were living peaceful. They had their food basically hand delivered to them, to the point where they didn't even have to go hunting. So again, you can understand the Pillarmen's position when Cars was just like, hey, let's start walking on the sun. And they're like, we don't even have to go outside. Why are we doing that? But now let's talk about their abilities. First, high level body manipulation. It's so ridiculous as it's shown in the anime. You got these guys that can dislocate their fingers and joints, flatten organs, turn themselves basically inside the fuck out in every way, shape, or form. And you're telling me everyone has to compete with that? How do we stop that? And it's on top of the fact that they can manipulate their bodies at an accelerated rate. 1 second you'll see them. For example, when Santana got out of his cell. 1 second they saw him, they turned away, now he's gone. This man fit himself into a 6-inch vent. He's 6'4". What are we talking about? And then their next ability, insane regeneration. The regeneration is fucking ridiculous. And immortality. It's like a package deal. Insane regeneration and immortality to the point where they can be reduced down to their brain and they still won't die. They can be reduced down to their brain and they still won't die. On top of that, like I was saying earlier, they have advanced smarts. I'm pretty sure Cars IQ was somewhere around 400 or something crazy like that. It was something fucking ridiculous. They have absorption, which they can basically just take your blood, and that's how they just get nutrients. That's why they were chilling, living under a rock for thousands of years. They were content with living like that because they're like, oh, well, we can't walk on the sun, but we're still eating. Fine. Great. These humans give us sacrifices once, twice a day. They also have all of their 6 senses on crack. Essentially, everything is just so ridiculously high. That's why Cars could sense the body signatures outside the door of the cabin, or Santana will sniff the area like a dog. It's right there. Their senses are so ridiculously high. It's like facing a blind person, but they're not blind. And it's that of 50 times, 50 the multiplier, like Super Saiyan. And then finally, elemental battle mode, where essentially any Pillarman in battle mode has a element, at least from what we've been shown. They have an element to where they can access that, and yeah, you're low-key cooked if they do. Earth, wind, fire, light. Any of those sound fucking awful. Imagine you're going against Cars and he starts using light against you. Light. Did you see how deep of a cut he got Lisa when he slashed her, once, twice? Up next we have rock humans, where I've made a whole long video on them. If I say everything that's about them, this video will be entirely too long. It may be like 40 fucking minutes, because there's a few more species we have to get to. But the thing with rock humans is they are essentially organisms that are composed of silicone as their main, like the main thing they're composed of. They can withstand dryness, very hot temperatures, very cold temperatures, and they can hibernate, turn into rocks at that point. And I'm pretty sure they're like aware when they hibernate, like they can still see everything. At birth they're about 3/4 of an inch, and from there they're very vulnerable. Like and mind you, they're in the wild without a mother. I forgot to mention their mother just drops them off and leaves, but they're very vulnerable, and from that point insects usually find them, and they'll try to latch on, wait to find the queen, and then stay in there for warmth and nutrients. And they don't grow like gradually. They grow like maybe once every 6 years, if I remember. It's like one of them. Another thing about rock humans, they have no desire for family or relationships or really anything of that nature. They really like being alone. They don't want anything. They don't need anyone. They don't even really need assets. That's part of the reason why they don't work jobs, or even live in human society, because they see humans as in some way destroying their natural habitat by cutting out trees and paving roads and buildings over it, and their abilities, they have a few. It's rock skin and stands. If you're a rock human, you have a 95, I believe, % chance of getting a stand, which is ridiculously high. They also have rock-like skin, where they can shift from regular skin to rock skin in very, very fast. That's what they use for hibernation. They use that for camouflage. They use that to gain nutrients in different ways. Like, for example, we see Toru one time in part 8 put his hand out to, I think it was a hornet, and as soon as the hornet went to sting him, he made the part around the stinger rock like, so he could drain the nutrients. So yeah, they have crazy advantages. Now the final different species we're going to talk about today is vampires. Now with vampires, there's a subspecies, because vampires in itself in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures is a subspecies. Yes, this is a 3-level species we're talking about. We have pillarmen at the top, then you have vampires, then under vampires you have zombies. Now if there was anything under zombies, I think at that point we'll be doing a little bit too much, like at that point, fuck it. Like why are we making fucking fuck, I forgot what they were called. That was a good ass joke. I was looking for the word humongous, but vampires were made to be food for the pillarmen and to explore human potential. And through that, they also found the redstone of Jjba. Now, with the redstone, anyone undead, mainly the pillarmen, can basically walk among the sun. Vampires can't. I don't believe zombies can either in JoJo, but if you have the redstone of Jjba, you can. Now with zombies, they can be made 2 types of ways. They can be made either by putting on the stone mask and having some type of blood on it, or by a vampire giving a corpse its own blood. Through that, you would become a vampire. It is also very implied that the more vampires progress with blood manipulation or blood consumption, the more they can understand and develop their powers. For when you compare someone like Vampire Straight Soul to Vampire Dio in part 1, Dio has far more impressive durability feats and even just power feats. Now again, that may not be true. That may all be headcanon. I may be fucking wrong, but at the end of the day, I don't know. Now the abilities of vampires. Holy shit, it's a lot. Zombie slash vampire creation, enhanced senses, wall crawling, space ripper, stingy eyes, high level regeneration, vaporizing freezing technique, that shit he hit Dire with, fusion, flesh buds, hypnosis, teleportation, superhuman strength, superhuman agility, immortality, blood sucking, bodily mastery, ripple. Yes, straight so had ripple, and stands. Dio has stand. As you can see, they have a ridiculous amount of abilities, and honestly, I think vampires themselves were very underused in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I think we should have seen maybe just a little bit more, but the way JoJo's progressed, there was no space. When the fuck a vampire finna pop up? Oh yeah, this vampire came up in the 80s. He ended up going against the Stardust Crusaders. I mean, technically, Vanilla Ice was a vampire going against the Stardust Crusaders, but like, come on. And honestly, do I need to talk about humans in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? Like, I've made so many videos about the different humans and different types of humans in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and I've already made a video and a half about Mikitaka, which would be considered the only alien in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So I think we're good. I think we're good. You know, if we're talking about species that are like, well, not all of them are living, but like moving, inanimate, you know, I think we're good. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures is just that, bizarre. And I've talked about the most bizarre characters, but I've never talked about something that I've been meaning to talk about. The most bizarre adventure. What is the most bizarre adventure within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? And that is a very good question, because you have many to choose from. I mean, you have an 1800s Victorian story between a man who learns the power of sun breathing and a vampire. And from that, you have the story of a man who masters sun breathing versus a being which is supposed to be the perfect being ever. There is a lot of things to choose from. But when talking about the most bizarre, you have to think about what is the most off-the-wall, craziest story that Araki has ever came up with. Of the 9, which one would you say is the wildest story? If you had to show someone the wildest part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, what part would you show them? That is the question. And today, I hope I can answer it, at least in my opinion. Now, before I continue, I do want to say this. I am currently creating a Discord that will be up soon. Also, if you want to join the subscriber or like membership program that I have on my channel, it's like $3. You would get the videos early. Like, because right now this video is going out Tuesday and I'm recording it, or Monday and I'm recording it Thursday. You know what I mean? You would get the videos a lot earlier, like 3 days early. But on to the video. Now let's first talk about the story premises, because of each story premise it is very interesting. Now, if we're talking about least bizarre on the surface, it's definitely part 4. Part 4 in surface level bizarreness isn't that crazy. You know, it's literally about Jotaro Kujo, who goes to Morio to find Yosuke Higashikata. That is what the start of part 4 is about. Does it divulge into bizarreness? Yes. But the premise, we can put it on the lower end. Another one that would be slightly on the lower end and just premise, pure premise, is part 3. In the premise of part 3, it is we have to travel across the world in 50 days to save my mother and beat this ancestral, basically, rival to our bloodline. It is a crazy premise, but again, as a matter of fact, part 3's premise is a lot more bizarre than part 1's premise. I'll give it that. But when you look at something like part 8, for example, part 8 for me looks to be the most bizarre and pure premise. Imagine the first scenes of seeing the protagonist, he's crawling out of the dirt naked, and we essentially go on the journey of him trying to find himself, and that divulges into a lot more craziness. You know what I mean? But off pure premise, yeah, part 8, it might be first. Now, if I had to go through each and every one of them, the ranking of premise would be a little weird, but I was just giving it a little bit of where I can like slot things. Like, I think part 8 is higher tier along with something like part 6, the premise of part 6. Those are higher tier premises because it's like, okay, how often are you going to see a story of a girl who is framed for murder by a priest who has been chasing her bloodline for 20 years, but not her necessarily, her father, even though he had been low-key tracking her, and he's been chasing her father to reach heaven. That doesn't sound crazy. That just sounds like a very crazy, wild, out there premise. Now for the actual story. Now, when we talk about the story in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, every story gets very bizarre. There are very moments of crazy things happening. Like part 3, the premise may not be the strongest in bizarreness, but everything that happened sure is. Part 3 is one of the most bizarre parts I've ever watched. I can say that hands down, because it had a mix of everything: horror, cringe, grotesque. It was a lot. It was just a lot going on. Part 8, part 7, because I haven't mentioned part 7 yet, but part 7 is definitely one where in story, yeah, like its story might be, it's definitely top 3 in just how bizarre it is. If you don't remember the part 7 story, let me refresh you. It starts out as, oh, Johnny wants to learn the secret of steel balls so he can walk again. So he joins the horse jockey race. Cool. Then we then learn that there is a very big secret already hidden deep behind that. There's a saint's corpse. Not just any saints. It's implied to be Jesus's. Did I also mention that there are dinosaurs? Yeah. And probably some of the most confusing stands you'll see in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And not all the stands are confusing, don't get me wrong. A lot of them are just like concepts, you know, that are really, really well explained. But for some reason, for me, the first read through of Steel Ball Run, there was a fair amount of things I was confused on, and I just had to reread it in that moment. Be like, had to reread it and skim through it like 4 or 5 times. Be like, okay, I get it now. Part 2 story is also extremely bizarre, because I didn't bring up part 2's premise, but well, no, I'm pretty sure I did. I can't remember. I'm just talking. But part 2 is very bizarre. Joseph, his biggest ally in part 2 is a Nazi, like a commander-in-chief who's in Mexico. He met him in Mexico when he was torturing people. And it's not even ever explicitly said he was torturing people in Mexico, but why else would he be in fucking Mexico? He was doing things to people, and he was looking for the secret of the Pillar Men after they found Santana's body. It's another part riddled to the brim with vampires. You learn about the Red Stone of Jjba. You learn about the secrets of the Stone Mask and why it's so powerful. You learn who created the fucking vampires, and you meet an entirely new species of of beings on Earth that are extremely strong, so much incredibly stronger than humans. It's ridiculous. It's a lot that happens and to top it off, part 2 is 11 episodes, maybe a little bit more. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's like 11, 12, maybe 13 episodes. Come on. But in terms of story, what has to be extremely high on the list in bizarreness and story? Well, it's 2 parts, part 6 and part 8. Part 5 too, but all 3 of those, and it's key points to me. For part 6, you have that whole subplot with Dio's bone and how they essentially become Joestars, along with Poochie Weather Report, all of Dio's kids. Like it's a lot that goes into that right there. But the Dio's bone part, that's really bizarre. With part 5, you have the fact that Bruno Bucciarati exists as a walking ghost. walking corpse. Well, technically he was kind of a ghost, but whatever. He was a walking corpse for like half the part, close to it. Still fighting. There was literally points where we're told, yeah, he can't hear, see, smell, touch, or feel anything. Oh, so he just doesn't have any senses? No. How is he driving? And then for part 8, well, it's a lot, honestly, for part 8. Dr. Wu as a character is very weird. Like I'll say about part 5 with Chocolata and Babyface and Seko. Part 5 had a lot of bizarre shit. But you also have in part 8 Josuke being a fusion. Josuke having 4 balls actually being integral to the plot. The creation or the discovery and explanation of rock humans, and the fact that 95% of them have stands, making them extremely dangerous to deal with. You know, I was going to do a whole segment on like characters, but if I went through the characters, I'll just be like, I would eventually just end up saying, well, every part has extremely bizarre characters. Like extremely bizarre. Like that's one thing Araki makes sure to nail. Even if the part itself isn't the most bizarre part or even one of the most bizarre parts, it will have bizarre characters. That's for damn sure. Or it ain't called JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. But I think it's time to come to the conclusion. Come to who is the winner, who in my opinion went on the most bizarre journey, and what was the most bizarre journey. And this is tough. But to me, the most bizarre journey is the part 8 journey. Because there was just so much conflicting shit going on. Part 8 and part 7 do a really good job at, even though it's overtly bizarre, you're going to see Johnny and Gyro's bizarre, then you're going to see Hot Pants' and Diego's bizarre. And that's not going to be fun. But part 8 is like that, but like there's like 12 characters. You know, there's the entire Higashikata family, there's Josuke, there's Yasho, there's it really, and then they cut between the Higashikata family sometimes, because sometimes it'll be on Jobin and his son. It was a lot. Then you randomly see some from the Rock Human Organization. You know what I mean? And you're getting random flashbacks. Like it literally, part 8 literally feels like you're putting the pieces together of all this entire weird and odd puzzle, and I love it. But if you did like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. Being famous is a very weird thing. At least to me. You are watched by millions of people. No matter what you do, say, or even think, it'll probably be used against you. Half the time you have to move so obscure or curious, or you have to be so in the public. You're choosing one life or the other. And most of the time, no one will ever actually want to get close to you. They just want to be close to you because of status, fame, wealth, whatever the case is, whatever they can siphon off of you. But someone asked me if I could talk about the most famous characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and I am very inclined to do that. Now, starting off, it's a layup, it's a no-brainer. We have to talk about the President of the United States in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and he is a very, very, very important character within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, as he serves, spoiler alert for part 7, as the main antagonist. He is our main antagonist, but the thing with him and famous, Funny Valentine manages it exceptionally well. Now, for me, it's a combination of reasons, or not even for me, for what the show explains is a combination of reasons. For one, he was protected by having a Saint's Corpse part always within him, the Saint's Heart, and through that brought him good fortune. Him getting good fortune was easy for him to navigate through whatever he wanted or whatever he needed to get to his eventual goal. And his eventual goal did end up being the President of the United States, and he worked his way up pretty fucking easily. Not to mention that he's also extremely charismatic. We see that in part 7, but even what is said about him, he's very deceptive, charismatic, and he knows how to get you to listen and want to do things for him. I mean, shit, if you look at the end of part 7, you can see that so clearly. He almost got Johnny to let him go. He almost got Johnny to let him go. Mind you, Johnny saw him kill his best friend, and he was just like, well, you know, I could bring your best friend back. He won't be the exact same, but, you know, it'll still be your best friend. You don't want that? Come on. It should also be mentioned that he has one of the most ridiculously high approval rates I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure by the time of his disappearance in Steel Ball Run, quote unquote, it was 96%. It was something wildly, ridiculously high. But again, makes sense. The country loves that man, and he navigates it with ease. That's why, to him, fame is probably just not a pressure or really that much of a burden, but more used as a tool. Because he damn sure knows how to use that tool. Pause. But he has been in Steel Ball Run. He was literally in the public the golden boy, essentially. He couldn't do wrong. You saw a Funny Valentine, you were extremely happy. No matter the fact that he randomly kills people, even civilians. Civilians are, you know, if they're like somewhat affecting the plan, they are not off limits. They're not off limits. And plus, it's Funny Valentine. Like, what are you going to say to the President of the United States, who everyone loves? Which is sad. Up next, we have Rohan Kashibe, where in universe, his manga, Pink Dark Boy, is worldwide successful, making him extremely famous and pretty wealthy. He has a great amount of money. He's only 20, and the thing with him is, he is known as the most proficient manga artist of his time. But to add on to his fame, especially when we're talking about fame with Rohan Kashibe, it's pretty clear how famous he is. I mean, the first time we ever meet him was because Koichi and I forgot the other guy's name. I think it was Hazamada. With him. But Koichi and Hazamada, they went to Rohan's house after they found out that mangaka Rohan Kashibe had literally moved into their neighborhood. And these were two kids who were very big fans of his manga, very big fans of his work. Koichi, that's literally the reason Koichi was able to get exploited by Rohan at first so easily, because Koichi was a very big fan of his work. So initially he was somewhat more trusting of Rohan, even though he was doing very weird shit like licking a fucking spider. Even though he was trying to find out the contents of the spider, he still licked the fucking spider. That's weird. Also, when you look in canon, Rohan does a lot of side quests that only a rich person would do, like be at the Louvre for whatever reason, like 2 times. Hasn't Rohan at the Louvre been done like 2 times? There have been multiple times where he's been in high fashion places, or he's going on a mystery, or even in the new universe, this is spoilers, but in the new universe, part 9, this man traveled to Hawaii. Like, there's literally a whole plot point of them trying to steal a big ass diamond from him. So Araki, one thing Araki did, he made fame and riches a integral part of his character, and he doesn't shy away from that. Rohan's also one of the only characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, at least I can remember, almost always switching out clothes almost every fucking time we see him. In part 4, there are so many different Rohan outfits. I've literally made an entire video on ranking outfits he's had. Like, he switches them out so fucking quick. So his fame definitely can't be understated. Like, when you're so famous that the first time we see you, it's a literal plot point of how famous you are. Yeah, we kind of have to acknowledge that. Now, to end this video off, I want to talk about Joseph Joestar, because when you talk about fame, I cannot finish this video without talking about Joseph, because at the end of the day, by the end of his life, or closer to the end of his life, because he never meets a confirmed end, but by closer to the end of his life, he is so famous that just off of name recognition, it has been noticed around the world. The reason I say that is because in part 4, when Joseph is about to get to Morio, Koichi literally notices the name of his company on, I think it was the side of the boat or something. Koichi has never left Morio. He's never left Morio, and I'm pretty sure that's confirmed in part 5 when he first gets to Italy and he's just like, I've never been out of Morio. He's never left Morio. And Joseph is someone who does not travel to Morio often. He doesn't even travel to, as far as we know, he doesn't travel to Japan often. from part 3, we know he doesn't necessarily like Japanese people because his daughter married a Japanese person. Like, we know that. So for him to be known in Japan, somewhere he rarely goes, just based off his real estate, his reputation as a businessman, is crazy. Like, really think about it. How many real estate companies can you say that you know off name, off look? Maybe if I'm really trying, maybe one I've seen a few times on a billboard or whatever. But knowing one that's like across the fucking world is wild. Because Joseph, I'm pretty sure, at least in part 3, he was residing in New York before he came out to Japan to go help Holly and Jotaro. He was in New York, I believe. I may be wrong, but I believe that. If I had to rank the fame in these 3 people, right, I will rank it this way. At 1, Funny Valentine, easily. He's the president of the United States. Of course, he's the most famous out of the 3. But at 2, this is where it gets a little tougher. I think at 2, I would put Joseph Joestar, because again, he's a successful real estate tycoon who owns a real estate business that people in Japan notice. People in Japan probably buy from that business. It's probably a worldwide business, you know. And at 3, I would put Rohan Kashibe, but he's not that far behind Joseph Joestar. And I think by the time, like, because in canon, we've seen Rohan as a 40-year-old man. By the time he's that age, he's probably a lot more popular. You know what I mean? But that's really all I got. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. Every anime has an iconic look. You know, if I go to Dragon Ball, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting blonde-haired Saiyans fighting for their race. If I go to Naruto, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting ninjas. Some with the power of gods fighting against other gods and ninjas. Shit. If I go to Bleach, I'm getting a lot of shit, but all of it's explained. I can foresee it, and I know it's all spiritual pressure. Well, based off spiritual pressure. But when you go to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, you know what it is? Stands. And you know what's even better than that? Stand designs. That's why today I've came to talk about the best stand designs. But wait, not in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I made 3 videos on that alone, just in general. But in Golden Wind, yes, I've done one for Gaiman's Unbreakable. Yes, I've done one for Stone Ocean, but Golden Wind needs love too, because their stand designs were completely insane. Let me know which part I should do next, but to start it off, I have to go with the most obvious one, King Crimson. King Crimson as a stand design is so beautiful because it encapsulates Diablo's mental so well. Even with the idea of him having a sub stand, again, encapsulates his mental. This man thinks of Doppio as an inferior, but his inferior, that's his right hand man. But it's not coincidental that his right hand man is someone who is inside his own body. And that's why they share the same stand. And Doppio can only use the arms. And I forget what it's called, but where he can see in 10 seconds into the future. But I feel like the stand completely encapsulates the character and the complexity within the character. Like, when I look at, and plus it's menacing as shit. Imagine you are a new stand user, you just got your stand and you see that poking out the corner. Hell, even if you're Bruno Bucciarati, the first time Bruno seen that stand for his own 2 eyes, he was almost dead. Like, for me, it's a situation like Killer Queen and Kira. It matches him perfectly. Like, everything about King Crimson matches Diablo. Even the points where he's yelling, like, For example, there are moments where King Crimson is yelling instead of Diablo, because that's Diablo's true feelings. He fucking hates you. So King Crimson, of course, fucking hates you. And that's what makes it even more menacing. And no matter if you're looking at the dark red and silver-ish colorway, or the lightish pink with a tan face and white colorway, he looks tough. He looks so tough. Like, just imagine having that peeking around the corner on your shoulder at all times. You would have to aura farm with a red suit like Diablo does sometimes, which is ironic because why is he wearing a red suit half the time, then the other time he's just shirtless? And like father like daughter, I have to talk about his daughter Trish, her stan Spice Girl. Now, one thing I don't hear often when people talk about the best stands, I don't hear people bring up Spice Girl often. I'm kind of baffled by that. Her stand design is so sleek, so smooth, that it just looks so fucking good. Like, to me, visually, obviously, it's one of the ones that pop the most just because of the bright ass color it uses. But it kind of reminds me of King Nothing in Part 8, and how both of them use very bright colors, and those colors highlight the details that are within her stand. Like, for example, she has a divide, plus, minus, and multiplication sign on her face, I believe. I'm about to check. Hold on. No, she just has a division and a plus sign on her forehead, but she also has on her shoulders plus signs. You know what I mean? Like, those details, of course they're still gonna pop if her stand was like black, but it wouldn't be the same. And it's also, I think, something for me that makes it better is when a stand visually matches the user. You know what I mean? Trish and Spice Girl that's one, literally. You know, visually, I can't think of many who have better visuals. Like Dio, for example, is a really iconic one. His stand and him visually makes everything about his look, his character, all pop, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? And honestly, as I continue this video, I realize that's probably the thing that, for me, when I'm talking about like designs and stuff, that matters the most to me. How does it look with the user? You know, a stand can look cool. I think a lot of stands look very cool, but to me, what really pushes it over the edge is how it visually looks in the anime at all times. And of course, if it looks visually great with the user, it's always going to visually look great. And Spice Girl is one of those that definitely do. I think the reason people don't bring it up like that is because it was only used in anime twice. Once when she awakened it, second time when they were fighting Diablo. So like, that's not enough. And man, oh man, for this last one, the issue with me is Part 5 has so many great stand designs that, like, I feel like at this point Araki was really in his creative bag. Like, honestly, I can't even say that. I feel like with stands, Araki is always in his creative bag, especially when he's designing them. Like, it's really the details he puts into it that makes you be like, oh my god, this is insane. Now, for this last one, I was in a conflict between two. It was Silver Chariot Requiem and Green Day. But for me personally, I think Green Day is one of the smoothest designs we've seen with a stand. And especially when you look at how it incorporates power, uniqueness, and just albeit personality. The personality of Chocolata, it just completely encapsulates it. First, if you go off pure appearance, it literally looks like an executioner, a medieval executioner from the 1500s. He has the hood over his head, he has the red eyes, he's ready to hit you with an axe and kill you, chop off your head in decapitation. Okay, I need to stop. This might get demonetized. I'm sorry, that was fake. This is all about anime, but you get what I'm saying. And it's on top of the fact of the colorway is so using shades of green to encapsulate someone whose entire power is just giving you fucking mold. Beautiful. Beautiful. And on top of the fact that its fingers and its shoulder has these air pockets to where it can release the toxic fumes. but that's incorporated to its natural design. Its natural design even incorporates the mold, just the smell just radiating off of him. You can see it. I'm pretty sure if I get the right PNG for the thumbnail, you'll be able to see the mold literally radiating off of him. I'm sorry, when we're talking about designs and when we're talking about details and things like that, I think that's cool as fuck. And it's on top of the fact, visually, it goes perfectly with Chocolata. Chocolata is a downright dirty, nasty, disgusting, despicable person. That's why his stand has to look menacing, despicable, like it's here for one job and one job only, to hurt you and have fun. And that's what it perfectly encapsulates. I feel like when Araki is making these stands, he's going for an idea. How can I make this character look humanoid but also showcase the ability? And this is a case where he does both at an exceptionally high level. But that's all I got. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace.